This is the Code to Cash podcast.
So let's say two countries, right, out of these, maybe hypothetically, like India and Turkey. I just want you to like contrast a little bit on how different can things be and what parameters or attributes can things actually differ. I mean, I think this could be great learning for RevOps leaders and other deal desk leaders on how to think about running their operations.
That's an interesting choice of countries. Actually, they're both. I was about to say tough. I don't mean that in a bad way. They're challenging countries, but for different reasons. I think if you think about Turkey, it's a country where inflation is huge. Their currency is quite unstable, so
Yeah.
the prices are driven down, and the competition is extremely hard to hang on to the few customers who can actually invest. So where we struggle there is that the whole market is essentially price driven. You struggle to make a difference through your product features or even through relationship with your customer. It's an extremely difficult market, and we see that there's no real partnership between the customer and the supplier. A customer will not invest in a relationship with a supplier. They know they can get a better price later. So it's very cutthroat. When it comes to India, it's a very evolved market in that most of our customers, they have a very, very strong purchasing entities. So they've got very strong negotiation power. And I've never been there yet, but my impression is that there's a culture of negotiation as well. People like to negotiate. And so it creates, every deal is almost like a game where you need to understand where to start and where you'll finish. And from a deal desk perspective, it takes a very close collaboration with the sales team. You need to trust them and establish a very close collaboration to understand where you got to start and where you want to finish in a negotiation.
Right.
So it's got to be very, very close collaboration, whereas Turkey is a lot less structured as a business. It's a bit the Far West, but for very, very strong external reasons, which are exogenous to our market. And
Understood. This is so interesting. I mean, generally, it's very hard to get these perspectives, and they're very valid. And I'm curious how given that these situations exist. The next question I had is more about you setting policies for sales teams, and policies can be in different multiple levels. And there are probably internal criteria also. So how do you, first of all, what are the different types of policies that you would generally set? And then how do you then take this into account, like this regional differences in while you set the policies?
It's so one of the key challenges is it's always difficult to set a policy which will work for every situation, right? And I always believe that a policy, a very strong policy, may work for 80% of the situation, but then you will need a bit of local empowerment for the 20%. As a company, we always believed in our local sales team and sales leaders, and we try to empower them. The challenge we have is, and it's a constant challenge, because you want them to drive revenue, but you also want them to protect the margin. And sometimes as an account manager, those can be two conflicting targets, right? So in terms of policies, the main policy we have is what we call the deal approval policy, as to who can approve a deal at which level. And it depends on the margin we make on a deal and the revenue, it's fairly simple, right? And through that, we try to empower the local teams as much as possible, because they know better, right? Yeah. Everything I've told you about India and Turkey, I can give you a pep talk about most of the countries. That doesn't mean I know the details of how it works, right? Yeah. And if everything has to come through me as well, even though I work long hours, I can't be reactive enough to something which happens like from now, it's 5 p.m. on a Friday as we speak, meaning it's probably late morning in the US. If they have an urgent deal in 4 hours, I probably won't be online, or I might even have had a couple of beers. So they can't rely on me. They can't be waiting on me until Monday morning. So you need the local empowerment, and you need as well, as the deals grow bigger, you need to make sure that things will be escalated to the right level. It's always, like everything in deal desk, it's a matter of balance, right?
And so the policies you mentioned are primarily around like who gets to approve, like a discount or a margin.
That would be the main ones. Yeah.
Okay. Does any specific issues around regulatory or compliance necessitate you to have more specific policies?
So that's an interesting one, because when you look at what we call deal desk today at Hitachi, we used to call deal operation center for a long time. And it is true that if you look at my team, we're focused on configuring and pricing our proposal. If we were a real deal desk, we would probably have more legal. Right now, our legal department is separated, so the compliance is managed otherwise. We can touch on it, we can advise, we can redirect, but we don't handle the compliance policy.